only thing we have to do here is the petitions, right?
So you've got the petitions, reviewing Matt's notes, and signing the default budget.
Okay. Go over Matt's stuff first. So pretty much all his, pretty much all of them he wants us to put, if we approve them or disapprove them, right?
We did that last meeting.
I know, but he wants them actually put on here.
Oh, okay.
He wants to select and approve or disapprove.
Okay, which
One
I
of the
can
ones
use
that
as
we
well.
are putting on already? Wouldn't it be assumed that we approve of them if we're putting it on?
He says,
So I just have to add in there the recommend or not recommend,
Yeah.
which is what I typically do when I go put them into the DRA system. So
Of the money ones or of them all?
yeah, of the money ones.
Okay,
okay. Articles, special warrant articles under RSA 32:3 require that special warrant articles must contain a notation of whether or not that appropriation is recommended by the governing body.
okay. So that's all the money ones. And
Yeah.
I guess that's the way we always did it.
It's always done that way, just.
Which I don't have that official from the budget committee yet, cause that'll be Friday.
That'll be, yeah, Friday night.
Yeah.
He said you'll have a better description on the library one. That we have, the two library ones that we have going in there.
Yeah, the ones
Before
that,
the 29th.
yeah, the one to donate it and the
Yeah.
one to, what happens if it was
Fails or
refused. Yeah,
refuses.
okay, yeah, I can see where he needs more time,
Yeah,
and that's fine.
that's fine, cause you gotta send Mitchell's to him again. See if there's anything wrong with that one.
That's the lawyer still looking at?
Hmm?
That's the lawyer still looking at it? Yeah, okay.
Seems to be.
Sorry.
Only other thing I see on here that he fixed was Gary's, that we put on for the capital improvement, he changed grammar and language, that's it,
What number was that?
18.
Yeah, I see that he changed some of the language there.
Yeah, just put a revised just to track the language in 674.
I copied that from the
Quantify.
exact one for the town meeting. Okay, good.
No, you just said to track it more closely.
Yeah. He knows that.
Oh, and number 6. Where are we getting the money for the Bridge Capital Reserve Fund?
Yeah, it would have to, if it's not gonna come from the taxation, it has to come from the unreserved fund balance.
I thought we were taking out the unreserved fund balance on that one.
I
I
don't,
thought that's what we, okay, maybe I
I don't
misunderstood.
recall,
Okay,
But he said to, put in where the money's coming from.
yeah.
okay.
If we
so
don't
I
take
need
it, then
put
we
that
have to
back in.
strike that last sentence, because there will be money from taxation.
Okay, so are we taking it from the unreserved and they take out the taxation?
Um,
Or no, I don't, never mind, I see what you're saying. Okay, so
You
go back
just
in the
take out-
unreserved
No,
fund balance, okay. Got it.
I need to read this company.
13.
that right there?
Yes.
Yeah, I was just reading that. He's probably saying strike that last sentence, because that's what the capital reserve fund is for anyway.
Right,
So we are just asking to become agents
Yeah.
to expend.
So delete anything after capital reserve fund?
Yeah.
Number 13, I thought we were already agents to expend the bridge capital reserve fund. Because we had a special meeting back in 2009 when Obama's stimulus plan came in
Mhm.
with shovel-ready projects.
you can look in the
We
town
had
report.
we had a special
Yeah.
meeting, and it won't show in the town reports because it was a special meeting. I don't know where that information is, but we had a special meeting, and then a special town meeting. We had a deliberative session, and then we had a voting session, and the selectmen became agents to expend that fund. I don't think it's been taken away.
I believe the DRA has us not.
I will have to
Yeah,
get
we
that
have
from
to
Bonnie
research,
then.
yeah.
Bonnie would have
Unless,
that.
somebody might have put on an article in subsequent years that asked to become agents and it got voted down. Somebody asked to be
Yeah.
agents and you're already agents, etc.
I believe because Sarah.
Yeah,
had
double
paper
check
and
on
had
that, so
all the-
if we are, then we won't put it on, but if we're no longer agents, then
Yeah.
it's a good idea.
Does it
Yeah,
matter if you
Bonnie
put
should
it
have
on
those
twice?
minutes.
I mean, if you're still agents, but you repeat it,
Well,
'Cause
if
if
you
you
put it on
are-
twice, it could get voted down, then you lose then you can't be agents anymore, but if it gets voted in,
I see what you mean,
Yeah.
but would it not apply simply to that warrant article?
it would be, I'm just talking about one capital reserve fund, the bridge capital reserve fund. We were not agents, we had a special meeting to become agents, we became agents, that was in '09. I don't recall what's happened in the last few years, but there could have been another article that, you know, sometimes you
think
ask
so.
for it again and it gets
Yeah.
voted down.
I don't think that was.
Yeah, let me see what
And then, the other thing that would be hard to find is because it's not in a town report, I don't believe.
but Bonnie should have,
She would have a record of that,
should
yeah.
have record of that meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I gotta check with Bonnie, cause this one says, comment, 2008 warrant article 19 rescinded, agents 2004 warrant article BOS were made agents to expend. So 4 they were made, agents to expend, 2008 they were rescinded,
And
but
they
you're
were
saying
They
2009.
were taken away, I can tell you why they're
So-
taken away, because we bought a couple of used trucks, somebody in town thought that was a poor thing, and they took away our ability to expend. Remember when Fred wanted those two, internationals, or they weren't internationals, or whatever they were. So we had to have that special meeting.
Yeah, so, yeah, so Bonnie would have that, and I'll
She-
need that to
yeah.
give that to the DRA so they can
Yeah.
update their report. Okay. Alright.
So number 18's okay, the changes that he made?
Yeah.
It looks okay to me.
Is everyone all set with these warrant articles?
Yeah.
Yes.
So do we have to approve the budget?
Well, signing is approving it.
Yeah, and that copy's gotta be at the budget hearing, 'cause one year it didn't make it down there. Remember that? Then we had to have another one. Yeah.
Hey, sometimes
Things
things
happen.
get past you.
Yes, they do.
Jesus, you're getting a little gray around the edges there.
Little. I don't know why.
It's this job.
Yeah, look what it did to you.
Look what it did to me. Okay, now piece of business is done.
Petition warrant articles. The first one. To raise and appropriate the sum of $13,000 for the purpose of having the C and D container, also known as the demolition container, be brought back to the recycling center for use by the town residents. First of all, $13,000 is still, I believe, $3,000 under what we spent this year.
Mhm.
So we still have to find money. Two, I don't think this is binding. Warrant article, if it passes, we don't have to do it.
Right.
So pretty much if it passes and they don't wanna do it, the money sits there and goes in the next budget the next following year, cause we can't touch it.
Yeah, I don't know why it would be, non-binding, but if it is, I mean, it doesn't, one way or the other. But in order to make the C and D pay for itself, you know, I was thinking, we really need a scale there, because
Yes,
I
you
think
do.
somebody was mentioning, somebody could bring in a whole truckload of styrofoam peanuts and get charged $25. Of course, they won't do that. As opposed to the guy that brings in all these broken up cinder blocks and throws it in there, and for $25 we're at a loss.
They can do like 19 different runs underneath the wheel wells and don't pay anything.
They could do that too. Yeah, so there's all kinds of loopholes in there.
Yeah.
From what I understand, that neighboring towns don't have C&D at their transfer
No.
stations.
No one's doing it anymore.
We have somebody down here that'll take, we're pretty fortunate that Hammond's is as close as it is.
Well, see, what brought this to a head was the shingles. Somebody brought in a tremendous load of shingles and paid $25. And when they went to Lebanon, it cost $300. So that means the town lost $275. And people do, haulers do bring in from other towns. And they really should have a license.
According to DES, they have to have a license.
That's right.
That's correct.
Now, who's gonna, enforce it?
Well, the state doesn't seem to enforce much of what they pass as
No.
laws anyway.
No,
No, but the dump can actually refuse. Step out and say you can't dump here. Take it to Lebanon.
Yeah. And somehow we've been down this road
Yeah.
before.
Mm-hmm.
And just judging from what I've seen on Facebook, there's a new hauler available in Grafton, and I
on
think
Davis Road,
they,
Yeah, but they want metal and stuff, which
they'll
we-
sell,
yeah, but we get money for it too, so
yeah.
they won't take the C&D.
so we're gonna not recommend that.
You know, motion to not recommend the, I didn't want to word these.
Petition warrant
Petition
article.
article number one or head,
This petition warrant article.
yeah.
No,
C&D,
The C and D one.
petition warrant article.
Did you get second and third? I didn't hear.
I'll second.
Okay.
Oh, I'll heard it.
Okay. Will the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $996,239 to construct a new library at 2 Library Road, also known as the Great Lot, donated to the town for this purpose. Funding to come from $845,844 from New Hampshire Community Development Finance Authority Community Center Investment Program, $88,390 from secured grants, Friends of Grafton Library funds and pledges, $27,005 secured volunteer labor and services, and $35,000 from existing library improvement capital reserve fund. Further, to delegate the construction of the library to the library trustees, this article is null and void if CCIP funds are not awarded. No additional money to be raised from taxation.
So this article is significantly changed because they've taken Friends of the Library right out of it.
But I don't
So-
see how they can, cause Fogel is still doing the grant.
They are, I know that is true, but they're out of the article, they're not building it and gifting it to the town.
They
In my-
have
in
to
my-
gift it to the town, that's the problem.
in my view, they got some advice somewhere and found out that Vogel can't be the ones responsible for building it on this. And I think that we've been saying that all along, and if we, and basically, we're told we're picking on them because of that, but it looks like they've changed it themselves. Not saying that I'm gonna be in favor of this, because there's still a lot of unanswered questions here. All these dollar items, I would imagine that they are on, public documents, and they should be available to the public, and they're not. The application for the grant, that's not available to the public, unless you go to the library and they're very confined hours and wanna look at it. They won't let anybody make a copy of it. Be nice if we had a copy in the office so the public could come in at their convenience during regular business hours and look at it. The secured grants, Friends of the Library funds and pledges, if there's other grants, I know nothing about other grants, and don't you think that ought to be a public document as well, where these grants came from?
Yes, it
Who
should.
signed off on them, and what the deal is with them? We know nothing about that. The secured volunteer labor and services, well, I think that's great that we have volunteers that wanna build for the community. However, I think that we have to have more detail about who's doing what and what's that worth. In the existing improvement capital reserve fund, well, in my view, there's an argument about who controls that, but this, in essence, if it were to pass, it gives the library permission to use those funds, so I don't have a problem with that line per se. But the other three, I'm really concerned that a lot of these items are being kept secret, and it should be opened up for a little daylight so the public can look at it.
So if construction of libraries to the library trustees, are they building a whole new building now? Cause Fogel still owns the barn. Or is Fogel gonna donate the barn? That still has to come to the select board to approve the,
I don't know, I haven't heard anything.
I mean, the barn might be included in this 88,390, but they're not saying, where these things are coming from. There's no specifics to go along with it. And it's a lot to ask the selectmen to get behind a project like that when we're given very little information.
Have these three articles gone to Matt?
cause they're petitions.
I don't care if they're petitions or not.
I think they should go to them, because we'll get some insight.
Yeah, we can send the three to Matt. And just have him look them over,
Okay.
see if any of it's kosher. Especially see if, the C&D one, it's actually binding for us, if we have to do it. But the library's also the 2-year grant, they got 2 years to build this building. And it's taken them 10 years to do anything, so 2 years, if they get half the building up, they lose funding, it's gonna sit there, cause then the town's gonna be responsible for a building that they don't even own on town property. So, I do not approve of this.
Well, I'll make a motion that we do not recommend this petition article.
I'll second it.
Yeah.
As a matter of curiosity, if all those items that you specified, Steve, were elaborated, what excuse would you then find to dismiss it?
What makes you think I'll find an excuse to dismiss it? You're making a presumption there, that's totally untrue.
It's a presumption that has been made by the library people over the years, because I've not been associated with it except for the last year, because of the very obstructionist attitude from the selectmen over the past
I,
decade.
I think that's totally untrue. I think that the library has chosen that they don't want to work with the selectmen. The selectmen have given them information about the steps that should be taken to build a library,
Oh,
and they've chosen to ignore it. So
I'm not
how are the
disputing
selectmen being obstructionists then? Actually, we're trying to help them by
that. Oh,
giving them
really?
the
By
path
not
to
having
get
a
where
new
they want.
library? Well, thank
But
you.
instead, they make themselves into victims and say they're being picked on and they're treated unfairly, and all these other departments get favored. They're favored by the selectmen, and the library is not. That's just totally ridiculous, and it's counterproductive, and it's and that's about all I can say about it. They talk about it being unfair to them, but they don't want to work with anybody. Fogel has yet to come in to speak to the selectmen about this library project, and they're saying that they're scared because the selectmen are, I don't know, the selectmen are mean, or the selectmen are something that they don't like, so they're making the selectmen to be out to be boogeymen or something, and that's totally not the case.
I believe last year we gave that, as selectmen, told them that what we would like to see before the next election, which is coming up. And I haven't seen any of it getting done. Just do whatever they want. So.
Yeah, you just watch.
That's the library one. Okay, next one.
Story of dysfunction of the town. Story of dysfunction.
Want to share any
This-
comments with us?
This is another meeting going on over here.
Oh, we're dysfunctional now.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Are we done interrupting your little meeting over here?
We are the audience and we can make comments as much as we like behind your backs.
And
So get on with your job.
I just asked you a question, so don't interrupt or I'll ask you to leave.
Oh, let's go. Come on. Come on.
Okay, you don't have to leave.
Is it new library stuff?
Just as a parsonage. Well, that was easy. To see if the voters will subdivide the property known as East Grafton Union Church and Parsonage, and sell the vacant parsonage to abutter Andrew Cushion. Tax map information. The buyer agrees to increase both the church and parsonage lots to the minimum 2 acres and pay all related legal and surveying expenses. The purchase price shall be informed by a mutual agreeable third-party appraisal minus the value of the church's increased lot size. The buyer agrees to restore the house and return it to tax rolls.
Well, I could see a few problems with this, but one, when I was reading that over, was like there was gonna be a impartial party that would determine the value of the building, but the value of the land that this article proposes on giving to the town to make 2-acre lots, somebody else is gonna determine the value of that. And if this were to pass, I would like an impartial party to assess the entire transaction, not just the building's worth. Because in my view, the additional land that the East Grafton Church would get would really, as far as the church property, doesn't have an impact, a serious impact on the value of the East Grafton Church. So it would basically be useless to the church. Therefore not have a lot of value.
Yeah. And the parsonage has already been appraised by our insurance company.
Okay.
That'd be Primex evaluated the building for their insurance purposes.
Yeah.
And it was like 54,000.
Can I make comments or,
Sure.
Andrew's trying to do something good for the town and himself and history. And that's, oh, and impartial would be very good, yes. That's it.
Question,
Sure,
where is the septic and well?
On the
I don't know.
parsonages, the well is right behind the parsonage and the septic is behind the.
So if he got the property, he'd get the septic and well, and then the church wouldn't have that if they wanted to add plumbing?
Correct, we'd have to do that ourselves. And you know, I appreciate what Andrew's trying to do here too, as far as, he wants to get that building, and this has been going on for years with him, because I know he has an affinity to that building, and I remember from my past stints as selectman, I've spoken to him about it. And the article actually came out better than I thought, because it's an impartial person that's coming out with the value. Except for that portion that I mentioned, I think the land should too, because he could end up paying more for the land than it's actually the value to the town. So there's an imbalance there. You know, and the parsonage that belongs to East Grafton Church, that's a problem for the town, because it is going to be difficult for us to restore that, and even if we decide to demolish that, that's still going to be an expense to the town. So those are all considerations. I'm not saying I approve of the article as it is written, but I mean, I understand where Andrew's coming from with it. That's all I have to say.
I agree with you, Steve. I do.
Do you guys have to recommend or not recommend that one?
I'm not sure about.
It
Actually, I'd like
revolves
to
money.
talk to Andrew about this a little more.
I'm not
But
sure if we.
it's, yeah, but it's not,
It's kind of like a money one. All ones that involve money, we have to make a recommendation. Although
yeah, I couldn't really tell if
This-
that was if that
this
really
doesn't-
was,
mention them an amount, but there is something going on there. So I
There is
don't know.
money involved.
There's money
but
involved.
we're not spending
Is it money
money,
involved in everything?
and we're not taxing money,
Well,
so it doesn't affect the taxpayers.
So I'm wondering
in a way it does.
if we just deny this and we see if Andrew wants to restore that building as a town building.
That's,
Personally have him do it.
we could lease it, you know how we leased the Grafton Historical Society? Could we lease it with stipulations to another nonprofit and say, and work out some sort of deal like that, so,
We
you
give
know,
them a certain amount of time to comply.
to be able to restore it. We'd have to give him assurances too, that we wouldn't have him restore it and pull the rug out and sell it or something like that, unless
How would we sell it? I mean, it still would have to be subdivided, so
that's true, that's true.
you can't, you know,
That would leave the church the possibility of a well. You're not gonna be able to
Yeah.
use the septic, cause the septic would run uphill.
Yeah, you know, and the parsonage
Yeah.
goes with that property, the East Grafton Church and they go together. So like when you look at the property, I mean, I could see all kinds of uses for if the parsonage was okay to use and it was functional, it really complements the East Grafton Church. You know, you have plumbing in the parsonage, and that would resolve some of the problems we have with the
People
church.
would
We
go
get
to
rid of the
parsonage and
outhouse.
use the
Um,
bathroom in the parsonage.
so.
What was that?
They could use the bathroom in the parsonage.
Yeah, it could be a public building. I've had a lot of people come up with some good ideas about what to do with the parsonage. Like, you know, some people say, well, we'll make a second-hand shop out of it or something like that. They
The
could
town
serve some.
could actually rent it out.
Town could rent it out. Yeah, so there's a number of uses with that. And I looked at the building, and I know that the roof on Andrew's side, I mean, he comes down his driveway every day and looks at that roof, and that roof looks terrible, and
Right.
much worse than it does on the other side, looking at it from the church.
right,
And the granite foundation, I mean, it's really, at one time, that must have been a nice building. Not in my time in town, but at some time, so.
Someone took the back wall out between the kitchen and the woodshed.
yeah, that wasn't a good idea.
No,
So there's a, you know, I know most things can be restored, but at what cost? And I know the town won't be able to
no,
foot
but
that bill.
if Andrew is willing to do the grants and stuff to get it done,
I'd be willing to, come up with some sort of, negotiation and
Yeah,
see if we
yeah.
can,
us happy to make him happy.
that all parties would be satisfied. Yeah, I'd be willing to look into that.
I know we wanna do the, roof,
Yeah,
and we did not just cause of the safety of the building, if he could shore up the building, he could do the roof,
yeah,
but he'd have to get someone in there to look at the floor and the beams. Make sure that floor's not gonna cave in on him, so once that floor goes, that roof's coming down with it.
yeah, I'd say that's.
So that living room
probably true.
area, their living room area is huge. And that's where all the sloping is.
Russell says it's savable.
Russell thinks everything's savable.
Yeah, and I believe it is, and I know Andrew thinks it's savable too, but like I said, at what cost? So if
Right.
we could work out a deal with somebody,
Anything is savable.
That's right.
They pulled the
If
trap
you-
house over and put it over here and cover that back up.
If
Yeah.
anything, if you have enough money, anything is
Yeah.
savable.
Money and time will get you anything.
but as the article is written, and if we have to make a decision today on to recommend or not recommend, under the current wording, I'd have to go not recommend.
Myself, I didn't recommend it.
I dirt it. Like I said, I don't like this opening the door to people taking town property through petition warrant articles.
Yeah, that could be a slippery slope.
'Cause
We don't know where that might lead to.
if
You know, and another part of
Paul
the problem
wanted
is,
the fire station, put it on the warrant article and it
Yeah.
passes. Hey, Paul, you doing? We're a fire station now.
it's another piece of real estate that, you know, the town ends up with, and what do we do with this, you know, all these
Well,
pieces?
we've had it all these years,
We've had it a long
Yeah.
time.
so.
And there's other properties that we could get rid of.
Mhm.
No, we own like 2 acres on the other side of Rexfield Road.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I know, yeah.
just sitting there.
Yeah, we're gonna do something with that, about 20 years ago. Remember
Yeah,
that?
they cleared it, now
yes,
they cleared
they
it off.
cleared it, and then they just left it.
Right.
They were gonna make a parking lot so that, when they had their 4th of July, celebration, that there would be place for cars to park and not along the road.
I don't think that would ever stop. Just allows more people to come in. But,
That idea never came to fruition, so.
no.
No, it did not.
So we. Do you know when Andrew's gonna be home?
No, do you want, I could try and find out.
Actually, Sarah, can you email Andrew? Ask him to, see when he could have time to visit.
Come to a meeting or just visit with like one of you?
Just visit. If he wants to come to a meeting, he can come to a meeting. When's the next one? The 16th?
Next Tuesday.
16th.
Yeah, ask him to come to 16th. It shouldn't take long.
What time do you want me to put them in for?
First thing, 6, get him in, get him out. Don't need him to sit there all day, dealing with everything else. You'll probably see the video before he gets his email.
know, Paul can be quicker than me.
Oh, it is Paul this time. Usually Jake, it takes a couple. Was there anything else we needed to do?
Oh, not at the moment.
Can I say a thing or two? I'm gonna have some questions for Matt, especially regarding the, issues surrounding the library, you know, simple issue like, you know, can we publish commentary on what we think about that, or any other article that we have? I know that, the last town report, somebody accused it was close to electioneering, so obviously you don't wanna involve in the electioneering, but I wanna make sure that we have the freedom to express our views and just to make sure that what we say and where we say it, we know what we're allowed to do, because I know we'll probably have some views we want to get out there to the public.
Right, but anything that we say and do should always reflect the, whatever is best for the town on the whole.
Mhm.
You know, even if I felt like, this parsonage at one time was a beautiful building, yes. If it's gonna be a detriment to the town, then you need to tell them that. Just like the library or community building, if it's gonna be a detriment to the town, then the townspeople need to know that. Always tell them the truth. The truth hurts, but sometimes it's the best.
I agree, and we ought to be able to say what we,
And, you know, this is my opinion, but not necessarily the opinion of everybody else.
So we need to actually have a meeting with Matt before the 19th. That's the deadline for
Do you guys wanna respond to him, or do you want me to reach out?
Just reach out, see if he can have a meeting with us.
that would be great if we could do that.
Yeah, even if it's a phone conversation.
Even if it's if we do a conference call, we can come in here and I'll talk to him on the phone. Whatever the case is, however he can do it.
We've done that before.
Yeah.
Tuesday during the day would be a bad time for me, but
So any day other than Tuesday or Friday?
mhm.
Yep.
Okay.
Sounds good. So that's all I have.
Anything for you, Jenny?
Nothing. You might wanna renumber these,
Yeah, we'll have to go in
start with
that
the,
appropriate order, cause the budget one is always number one.
right, and then go from there.
Yeah,
Then put the other ones in line, highest to lowest,
yeah. Yeah,
That's
and
what
then
I would do.
petitions go at the
Yeah,
end.
and
Okay.
then petitions at the end.
Excuse me. Sorry, gotta gather my thoughts for a second here. I think that having a library with plumbing and adequate room would make this town a more desirable place to live, and people would be maybe more inclined to move in, and the tax base would be broadened, and we'd pay fewer taxes, and we could see people besides at the dump. I think it would be a good thing for the town to have a library of, you know, modern day amenities and so forth.
Well, yeah, in a way I agree with you, but on the other hand, would be nice to have a store.
Oh, it'd be great to have a store.
I mean, if you need a loaf of bread at 6 o'clock, instead of having to go to Canaan or Danbury,
And
it'd
if
be
you're gonna-
wonderful.
If you're gonna run out of gasoline before you get to Canaan or Danbury.
Right,
Hmm.
so, you know, I mean, I don't think a library either hinders anyone from coming here, or because we have the potential of a big library, I don't think it makes any difference.
Motion adjourned,
Second, third,
Fourth.
10:45.